Decorum was a principle of classical rhetoric, poetry and theatrical theory that was about the fitness or otherwise of a style to a theatrical subject. The concept of decorum is also applied to prescribed limits of appropriate social behavior within set situations. In rhetoric and poetry, in classical rhetoric and poetic theory, decorum designates the appropriateness of style to subject. Both Aristotle and Horace discuss the importance of appropriate style in epic, tragedy, comedy, etc. Horace says, for example, a comic subject is not susceptible of treatment in a tragic style, and similarly the banquet of theists cannot be fitly described in the strains of everyday life or in those that approach the tone of comedy. Let each of these styles be kept to the role properly allotted to it. Hellenistic and Latin rhetors divided style into the grand style, the middle style and the low style. Certain types of vocabulary and diction were considered appropriate for each stylistic level. A discussion of this division of styles was set out in the pseudo-Ciceronian Rhetorica ad Herennium, modeled on Virgil's three-part literary career. Ancient, medieval and Renaissance theorists often linked each style to a specific genre: epic, didactic and pastoral. In the Middle Ages, this concept was called Virgil's wheel. For stylistic purists, the mixing of styles within a work was considered inappropriate, and a consistent use of the high style was mandated for the epic. However, stylistic diversity had been a hallmark of classical epic poetry. Perhaps more than any other literary form, usually expressed words or phrases that were not current in ordinary conversation, characterized as poetic diction. With the arrival of Christianity, concepts of decorum became involved with those of the sacred and profane in a different way from in the previous classical religions. Although in the Middle Ages religious subjects were often treated with broad humor in a low manner, especially in medieval drama, the churches policed carefully the treatment in more permanent art forms, insisting on a consistent high style. By the Renaissance, the mixture of revived classical mythology and Christian subjects was also considered to fall under the heading of decorum, as was the increasing habit of mixing religious subjects in art with lively genre painting, a portraiture of the fashionable. The Catholic Council of Trent specifically forbade, among other things, the indecorous in religious art. Concepts of decorum, increasingly sensed as inhibitive and stultifying, were aggressively attacked and deconstructed by writers of the modernist movement, with the result that readers' expectations were no longer based on decorum, and in consequence the violations of decorum that underlie the wit of mock heroic, of literary burlesque, and even a sense of bathos, were dulled in the 20th century reader. In theatre, in continental European debates on theatre in the Renaissance and post-Renaissance, decorum is concerned with the appropriateness of certain actions or events to the stage. In their emulation of classical models and of the theoretical works by Aristotle and Horace, certain subjects were deemed to be better left to narration. In Horace's Ars Poetica, the poet counseled playwrights to respect decorum by avoiding the portrayal on stage of scenes that would shock the audience by the cruelty or unbelievable nature. But you will not bring on to the stage anything that ought properly to be taking place behind the scenes, and you will keep out of sight many episodes that are to be described later by the eloquent tongue of a narrator. Medea must not butcher her children in the presence of the audience, nor the monstrous Atreus cook his dish of human flesh within public view, nor Prosna be metamorphosed into a bird, nor Cadmus into a snake. I shall turn in disgust from anything of this kind that you show me. In Renaissance Italy, important debates on decorum in theatre were set off by Speroni's play Canis and Giovanni Battista Giraldi's play Orbegci. In 17th-century France, the notion of decorum was a key component of French classicism in both theatre and the novel, as well as the visual arts. See Hierarchy of Genres. Social decorum. Social decorum sets down appropriate social behavior and propriety, and is thus linked to notions of etiquette and manners. The precepts of social decorum, as we understand them, of the preservation of external decency, were consciously set by Lord Chesterfield, who was looking for a translation of Les Mots, manners are too little, morals are too much. The word decorum survives in Chesterfield's severely reduced form as an element of etiquette, the prescribed limits of appropriate social behavior within a set situation. The use of this word in this sense is of the 16th century, prescribing the boundaries established in drama and literature, used by Roger Ascham, the schoolmaster, and echoed in Malvolio's tirade in Twelfth Night. My masters, are you mad, or what are you? Have you no wit, manners, nor honesty, but to gabble like tinkers at this time of night? Is there no respect of persons, place nor time in you? The place of decorum in the courtroom, of the type of argument that is within bounds, remains pertinent. The decorum of argument was a constant topic during the O.J. Simpson trial. During Model United Nations conferences, the Honorable Chair may have to announce decorum delegates, if delegates are not adhering to parliamentary procedure dictated by the rules. This often happens if a delegate speaks out of turn or if the delegation is being disrupted.